Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros.
Happy Tuesday to everyone. Tuesday to everyone.
Tuesday
Yesterday
na.
was a very interesting day for the entire nation. Parang, for some of us, kahit medyo nakakashock, parang nagkaroon ng excitement ulit ang politika.
Parang it's 2016 all over again. Yung mga talk to the people ni
Di naman kinagulat ng marami yan. We all expected that naman. And then we all know naman the way he is, paiba-iba yung sinasabi, paiba-ibang But we're gonna talk about that later on because we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch. Tulad ng mga nabanggit natin kanina at isa pa sa mga titignan natin na makakasama dito sa sa countdown natin is all about, of course, yung aftermath ni Bagyong Christine.
Yes, okay. But let's begin our countdown for the meanwhile with updates on the weather. We have with us Pag-asa weather forecaster Lori De La Cruz on the line. Lori, good morning. Nasaan na po ang sentro ng Bagyong Leon and what areas are affected?
Good morning, sir, at sa mga kababayan din po natin. Si Bagyong Leon ay huling nakita sa layong 645 kilometers silangan ng Tuguegarao City, Cagayan. So, nasa dagat pa po ang sentro nitong bagyo at ang kanyang movement mabagal pa rin west-northwestward. Sa ngayon, nasa severe tropical storm category siya with maximum sustained winds of 110 kilometers per hour near the center at gustiness na 135 kilometers per hour. So, malapit na po ito. Based on our analysis, malapit na po itong maging typhoon sa mga susunod na oras na po ina-expect natin. And with that, signal number 1 pa rin ang nakataas sa Batanes or Cagayan Valley region, sa Cordillera Administrative Region, dito po sa Quezon, including Polillo Island, sa Aurora, Camarines Norte, eastern portion ng Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, eastern portion ng Albay, and the northeastern portion ng Sorsogon, eastern portion ng Northern Samar, at northern portion ng Eastern Samar. So sa mga nating lugar, ang ating advice ay talagang urgent preparation and taking of precautionary measures dahil possible po nilang maranasan yung mga impact in terms of wind and yung rain o mga pag-ulan due to this severe tropical storm.
Miss Lori, kapag po ba ikukumpira itong si Christine kay Bagyong Leon, gaano po ba kalakas ito? Siya ba ay mas madami ang tubig ulan at saka hangin or both?
Both po, ma'am. Kaya lang, magkaiba lang po sila in terms ng mga maapektuhan kasi yung track po nila medyo malaki yung pagkakaiba. Si Christine kasi mostly naapektuhan din yung Southern Luzon area and upper South Central Luzon kasi yung concentration ng mga pag-ulan niya nasa south to southwest portion ng bagyo. Ito parang halos evenly distributed dahil nasa nearing typhoon category siya. So, sabihin, mas gumaganda yung circulation niya, mas nagiging even yung distribution ng ulan sa paligid niya.
Yes, Lori, now we're approaching November, no? Ang tanong ng marami, of course, sa Undas, kamusta naman ang magiging possible weather outlook during that period? Kasi madaming babiyahe paalis.
Well, sa nakikita natin, ang talagang affected nito, especially during the Undas ngayon pong weekend, yung Northern Luzon and some parts of Central Luzon. So, sila talaga magiging stormy ang panahon o masungit ang panahon. Some parts naman ay magiging yung tinatawag nating kakaroon sila ng mga pabugso-bugso ng hangin na may kasama pag-ulan. Pero dito sa Metro Manila at natitirang bahagi ng bansa, we're expecting na kahit paano less yung effect nitong bagyo. So, kung umulan man, mga panandali ang pagbuhos, possible din mga light to moderate rains.
Alright, thank you Pag-asa weather forecaster Lori De La Cruz for those updates.
Alright, let's continue with our countdown. We're still talking about severe tropical storm Leon in the 9th spot. Defense Secretary Gilbert Yudoc ordered mandatory evacuations in high-risk areas due to the storm's anticipated impacts. Teodoro, who also serves as the chairman of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, emphasized the importance of proactive measures. This is especially after severe tropical storm Christine left thousands of families severely affected up to now. The Interior Department has already issued memorandums directing all local governments to comply to Teodoro's order. O ngayon pa lang mag-evacuate na. Yun ang mandate nga nito, sinabi ni Secretary Gibo Teodoro. Kasi mahirap na yung maiwan pa, mas stranded ulit, parang yung nangyari dito sa Christine. And I think yung ibang mga kababayan natin, hindi na kailangan pa sabihin na mag-evacuate na because nandoon pa rin yung karamihan ng iba eh. Sa evacuation centers, hindi pa sila nakakabalik ng kani-kanila mga bahay.
Basta at the end of the day, it's all about proper zoning. Siguro it's high time we should review zoning ordinances per city. Kasi tignan mo naman, let's case in point yung sa Quezon City, sa may Marikina, sa may fault line, kung hindi pinuntirya pa ng iba-ibang agency, may mga schools that were built on top of the fault line. Minimal things like that goes a long way in preventing actual body count na tumaas, di
Saka
ba?
ang importante when you, pag inalis mo yung mga tao dun sa tirahan nila, evacuate mo sila doon or relocation na ang tinatawag dito, no? Yung to make sure din na meron silang pagkakakitaan doon kung saan sila ililipat. Kasi ang nangyayari, sige, lilipat sila saglit, then babalik ulit sila kung saan sila pinaglipatan kasi nandoon yung livelihood nila eh. Diba?
Well, at the end of the day, it's life over money or material things. Alam kong madaling sabihin yon. But then again, hindi ka naman kikita ng pera kung wala ka ng buhay. So it's better na let's just secure muna natin yung lugar nyo where you're going to live. And then afterwards, then we'll talk about anong livelihood assistance pwede bigyan ng gobyerno. But in the meantime, let's move over to our next in the countdown. On our 8th spot, bus trips from Metro Manila to Bicol remain suspended at PITX following the onslaught of Typhoon Christine. The LTFRB ordered the suspension except for those trips for relief operations. This as several areas in Milaor and Naga City in Camarines Sur remain flooded. Passengers called on authorities to allow a few trips for them to be with their families.
Siyempre sir, may mga kailangan din kami sa bahay. Mayroon naman darating na bagyo. Siyempre, preparation namin, hindi kami makapag-prepare kasi nandito kami. Siguro, ingay ko lang sa LTFRB, kahit kaunting bus lang, makakilos lang yung mga nandito sa Manila na makauwing Bicol.
Ang problema kasi dyan, even if mapayagan sila bumiyahe, along the way, makakakita sila dyan ng mga baha, impossible na lanes. Kaya yun ang iniiwasan ng LTFRB.
Basta let's follow rules. Yun lang naman yun. Napakasimple, di ba? Kahit anong makaawa mong pag alam mong pwede kayong mamiligro and then ang rescuers pa naman natin will go out of their way to rescue those who are in need. Sila rin madadamay. So,
pero ako, bilang nanay, of course, naiintindihan ko naman yung mga kababayan natin na gustong umuwi, especially, di ba tayo, nung even before pandemic, nung mag-a-announce sila ng lockdown, gusto natin na kahit tayong tatlo lang, magkakamag-anak ay magkakasama sa isang lugar. So, I understand that. Kaya lang, yun nga lang, syempre, yung safety nyo pa rin yung iniintindi natin at this point.
Tsaka also the safety, as I said, of the rescue workers. Diba? I mean, mapapahamak sila. We want to minimize body count as much as possible, di ba? Anyway, madami pa naman holiday na pwedeng pag-usapan. Palapit na rin ang Pasko eh.
Tsaka ang hirap, no, na ilang araw na since yung devastation nga nito brought about by Typhoon Christine or Severe Tropical Storm Christine. Until now, talaga yung mga kalsada, lubog pa rin sa baha. There are still
Nag-recover pa rin tayo.
may mga puno na nagtumbahan pa rin. Although, sabi naman nila, tuloy-tuloy yung mga clearing operations. But still, even nga yung mga ayuda na para sa mga kababayan natin,
Hindi pa umabot sa lahat.
maabot dun para sa lahat. Okay, sige, coming up. Was former Mandaluyong Police Chief Hector Grijalco forced to confirm the alleged reward system under the drug war.
And did former President Rodrigo Duterte really have a death squad when he was the mayor of Davao City? Ang usapan dyan, meron o wala? Meron, wala. Patay, pinatay. Hindi ko pinatay ko. Dapat patayin, hindi dapat patayin. Wala ako sinabi, may sinabi ako.
Oo.
Nagsisimula pa lang tayo.
Iisa-isayin natin yung issue na yan. But we are just getting started, mga kapatid. More of our top 10 news when Bronchi turns. Keep it here on One News. watching brunch here on One News. Sa mga hindi pa nagkakape dyan, anong oras na magkape na kayo? Tsaka ano bang brunch nyo for today? Kami, we have, ano ba to? Ube cheese pandesal. Mga nauso yan nung during the pandemic.
Ito
And it's here to stay.
Pang-anim na kape na to. Today.
Well, good morning kay Christian, kay Elmo Cardenas. Good morning daw sa ating dalawa. Happy Tuesday. Si Geraldine Balolong na laging nanonood sa atin all the way from Bukidnon. Si Oscar N. Good morning din sa'yo. And of course,
Morning.
si Tita Daisy, Tito
Morning.
Nito, Tito Naldi nanonood sa atin. Mina Benales, di ba?
Oh, Jesse Mendez family.
Yes.
Good morning sa inyong lahat.
Si Tasha.
Okay,
Tsaka
let's
si
get...
BJ.
Saka si BJ. Okay, game. Balik na tayo sa countdown.
Going straight now to our 7th spot, search and retrieval operations continue in Batangas. In Balete town, 6 people remain missing following a landslide incident. Their bodies are feared to have been brought by floods towards Taal Lake. Aside from those missing, the impassable Magapi Bridge remains a problem.
Hirap na po ang LGU kung paano ma-clear yung mga creek na natabunan. Kasi po pag hindi po natin natanggal ang mga barang troso, maapektuhan po lahat ng mga kabahayan at maaaring pwedeng mapisa lang ating mga kababayan sa gilid na nakatira dito sa creek na ito.
So itong huling bagyo talagang Batangas ang nagulat. They were prepared naman pero hindi natin inasahan yung yung ulan na yun eh.
Actually,
Oo, from cloud bands ata yun, rain bands yun eh.
Tapos sinasabi nga daw kasi sinisisi daw dun sa mga quarrying activities dyan sa Batangas. Pero sinabi ni Governor Mandanas na hindi daw. Kasi di ba yung sa Taal Lake, doon umapaw yung tubig.
yes, oo.
Yung sisip-sip nun, yung Pinisipit River, if I'm not mistaken, sisip-sip niya dapat yun. Siya dapat ang sasalo dun sa mga tubig na umaapaw ay barado because hindi daw nakagawa or nagawa yung dredging activity na sinisisi niya sa DNR because that's a protected area, so DNR lang ang dapat gumalaw nun.
National government project
Yes.
at ang sinasabi
Oo,
nila dyan.
oo.
Oh, kasi,
So, yun isa sa mga nakikita nilang dahilan. Bakit talagang binaha ng todo itong Batangas?
para maintindihan lang ng kababayan natin, di ba, hindi po lahat ng proyekto sa isang probinsya o isang malaking region under the responsibility
Ng
ng
LGU.
LGU. Because if it falls under the line of a national highway or nag-i-intersect, kahit local road pa yan, pero nag-i-intersect sa isang national highway po, then ang may kagagawan yan or responsibility dyan ang national government.
Pero this time, ito kasi, under the protective area.
Yeah. So that's
Dun sa
national
Batas.
government.
Yes, so sa
DENR,
national government yan. Kaya yun yung pinag-aaway. Hindi mo pinag-aaway, pero yung sinisisi niya.
Yan.
Or sinasabi niya.
DENR and DSWD. Yan.
DPWH.
ang may responsibility sa mga ganyan.
Yes, pero hindi ako nakakalungkot din kasi mismong rescuer yung pamilya niya yung nawawala. So hindi daw siya titigil hanggat di daw niya nakikita yung family niya.
Kalungkot naman. Rescuer pa mismo, trabaho niya. Hindi
Yes.
niya mahanap family niya. Ay, nako. Okay. Let's move on. Placing 6 in the countdown is peace negotiations. The National Democratic Front of the Philippines, or NDFP, expressed concerns about their peace negotiation with the government. This is after authorities previously arrested peace consultants Proferio Tuna, Simeon Naogsan, and Wigberto Villarico. The three were separately arrested this month. National Security Council spokesperson Jonathan Malaya declared that Joint Agreement on Safety and Immunity Guarantee, or JASIG, is void after the Duterte administration canceled peace talks in 2017. However, NDFP emphasized that JASIG is still in effect since there was no formal procedures for its termination.
Actually, that was also the statement of former Senator Laila De Lima na sinasabi niya, hindi basta-basta po pwedeng i-terminate niya yung JASIG.
Yeah.
Diba, under JASIG kasi, yung mga within the peace talks, dapat protected yan, hindi sila aarestuhin, diba? Hindi sila sasampahan ng kaso, ganyan. So sabi niya, since sinabi ng diba, ng government natin, si Jonathan Malaya, ADG, sabi niya, terminated na daw yun since
JASIG,
Duterte. Pero yun nga, sinasabi ni former Senator Laila De Lima, hindi pa. Kasi there were no formal procedures na nangyari.
Oo.
So to be able to terminate it, dapat may mga formal procedure. Hindi yung basa-basa on national television lang sabihin, ay terminated na yun.
Yeah, a formal hearing or a formal committee meeting about that. Dapat ginagawa. All stakeholders kasi ang kinakausap regarding this.
Yes.
Hindi yung instant. Although we don't know naman what happened behind the scenes. Baka naman may mga certain things na hindi tayo alam. Remember,
Hindi
kasi
tayo privy sa information.
usapan regarding yung peace talks with this, usually that's national security concern yan. National security
At
concern.
hindi available sa public yung
Oo,
mga
so
pinag-uusapan.
hindi nila binabroadcast yan na kada ora naman kasi we have to keep certain things secret.
Oo, pero no, nakakalungkot din dahil alam ko bata pa lang ako nakikita ko na to na may mga ongoing peace talks, 'di ba? Parang nung umpisa parang umo-okay hanggang sa hindi na naman. So pero I think what's important here is may talks, 'di ba? May ongoing talks na nangyayari, may pinag-uusapan.
Well, first time sinasabi yung mga talks on the other side naman daw is just a form of stalling para maka-rebuild ng strength yung Communist Party because medyo humina na sila, decimated na sila against the AFP, di ba? So may nagsasabi na wala, they're just buying time to recruit but kanya-kanyang naman yan kanya-kanyang information yan Oo.
All right, sige, let's continue with our countdown. On our top 5 is the Senate drug war hearing. Former President Rodrigo Duterte came face-to-face with the families and lawyers of alleged Tokhang victims. Here's the report.
This long list of names are some of the alleged victims of extrajudicial killings during the previous administration. It was shown at the Senate by Father Flaviano Villanueva of Program Paghilom.
329 names. Pinaslang lahat. Lahat po ay may pamilya na wala ng breadwinner. At ngayon ay naghihikahos, ngunit lumalaban.
According to Father Flaviano, more than 3,000 had been killed in the first 100 days of Duterte as president. Among those listed was the name of Kian de los Santos, who was killed by policemen. Senator Bato de la Rosa, the PNP chief back then, admitted the teen should not have been killed. Senator Risa Hontiveros asked Duterte if he would take responsibility for this.
I am basing my question dun sa mga sinabi ninyo repeatedly, parang tuwing Oktubre nga sinasabi nyo na you will take responsibility.
Correct.
So now let me ask you about Carl Anthony Nunez, 20 years old. Walang nahanap na droga o baril sa katawan niya. Sabi nga ng investigador, mistaken identity. Do you take responsibility for his death?
Yung policy, ma'am, hindi mo nakuha yung yung policy ng presidente.
Nakuha ko po, policy
I
maker
was
din po
talking
ako.
about the policy. I take full responsibility yung sinabi ko na war on drugs.
You said,
Pero
sir,
kung
you can hold me responsible for any
specific crime,
Yes, sir. You spoke
hindi
about
pwede yan.
You spoke about
At
specific
saka,
crimes.
kung sabihin ko, I will take full responsibility, magdating tayo sa korte, hindi naman tatanggapin yan.
Well, Mr. Chair, and if the resource person could keep his volume and pitch to
Mr.
a
Chair,
normal
trying
level.
to pin me down on
Mr. Chair, you are pinned down by your own statements
you
of
cannot.
October.
You have to
no,
pin
no,
me
Mr.
down
Chair.
low.
I'm not trying to pin you
lawfully.
down
The
on
exchanges
air.
are no longer productive.
Mr.
The hearing
Chair.
is
Do not pin me
suspended.
down on semantics.
Human rights lawyer Chal Jokno also got into an exchange with senators over terms used in the course of the drug war.
Ano ang pinagkaiba ng Project Double Barrel sa mga dating anti-illegal drugs campaign ng pamahalaan? Dalawa po ang pinagkaiba. Unang-una, may utos sa loob ng command circular na yan na mag-neutralize at mag-negate ng mga suspected illegal drug personalities. Pangalawa, ang utos ay gumamit ng drug list para tugisin ang mga sangkot umano sa illegal na droga.
Na puro killing lang ang gusto niyang palabasin. Kung gusto kong patayin yung mga suspect na yan, bakit pa ako gagamit ng neutralized?
For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
Maganda yung exchange.
Init nung exchange
maganda yung
na yan.
exchange ni Ontiveros, Senator Ontiveros and PRRD.
Yes.
Maraming sasabi kasi hindi man si FPRRD is very smart. So he knows by saying his rhetoric na I will take full responsibility. Sinabi rin naman niya with his own statement na you cannot transfer criminal culpability. So alam niyang walang kaso sa kanya if some of the policemen engage in what you call a EJK. because you cannot transfer criminal culpability. Alam niya yun. So that's why he's saying that, di ba? Ang sinasabi naman ni Senator Risa Ontiveros, trying to get him on the record, on the record of the Senate, on the record of TV, na to have him outrightly say, di ba, na utos ko yan. Oo, I'll take responsibility, utos ko yan. Urong-sulong ang sagot ni FPRRD.
Pero may mga soundbites sila dun actually. And you have to take note, etong Senate na to ay under oath. Diba? Lahat ng sasabihin mo dyan under oath yan. So, ang tanong nga dyan, diba, sabi naman ng BBM administration, hindi sila sasali sa ICC's investigation because we're not part of ICC already. Pero if they're going to investigate or get, get evidence or proof via online public domain, wala na daw silang magagawa. So, ito, pwede itong magamit against him. So,
But would like to ask nga about yung criminal culpability ni FPRRD. It's because, may command responsibility siya. But there is no really strong proof that he actually, may actually inutos siya directly na patayin yan.
Yes.
The most that can happen is sabihin nila, flawed yung kanyang implementation ng Oplan Double Barrel, Oplan Tokhang. It's to a point na nagkaroon ng interpretation ng mga policemen differently as to what his directives were. Yun lang ang magiging argument.
Pwedeng
But
argument.
to actually say may criminal liability na nag-murder siya directly, mahihirapan sila to prove that unless
they'll use this, yung mga statements niya na, di ba? I killed them all.
Well, ito ang magiging problema to. Number two, if you're going to go buying statements na sasabihin, pwede naman i-capture ng ICC yan. Ang magiging sole witness nila was the statement of FPRRD, meaning siya lang ang resource regarding his own
Wala
guilt.
mapapatunay.
So, he denied it inamin niya, deny niya. He retracted it, inamin niya. So, hindi nagiging credible yung statement na yun. So, you cannot take that into consideration. But then again, hindi po ako abogado. I'm just a regular person looking from the outside. But, yun po ang nagiging sabi-sabihan sa social media ng marami.
Oo, pero nakita naman natin kung gaano ka-firm itong si Senator Risa Ontiveros pagdating nga dun sa usapin na yan. At may usapin pa ng yung sa impyerno. Nag-uusapan pa. Wala akong planong pumunta ng impyerno.
Sabi niya sa impyerno ang punta natin. Sabi nito si Senator Risa Ontiveros, wala akong plano pa pumunta ng impyerno. Tapos sumagot pa si FPRRD, hilahin kita pababa.
Drag me to hell. Pero di ba yung isa pa na inabangan din dyan, yung first time na magkakaharap nito ni first time na nagkaharap rather, ni former Senator Laila de Lima at saka ni FPRRD. Pero doon na sila sa
yung magkatabi na that was very ironic for me because nagagalit si FPRRD kay Grijaldo. Sinasabi, kakasuhan ko yan ha. Sabi niya, kakasuhan ko yan talking about Abante, Congressman Abante and Dan Fernandez because
allegedly
they're having you sign a statement or make a statement accusing people na wala namang ginagawa. Tapos katabi niya one seat away si Senator De Lima. Sabi nito Senator De Lima, on the record, yung po yung ginawa sa akin. Pinilit nilang gumawa ng salaysay against me na hindi naman totoo. So,
oh my gosh.
the hearing
Makulay.
yesterday was full of ironies and I don't know how to describe
Color.
it. And a lot of color. But let's move on to the next. Sizzling at the fourth spot is about Police Colonel Hector Grijaldo. The former Mandaluyong police chief claimed that he was forced to confirm the alleged reward system under the drug war. Grijaldo insisted that Santa Rosa, Laguna Representative Dan Fernandez and Manila Representative Benny Abante coerced to confirm retired police officer Royina Garma's claims. Garma previously revealed former President Rodrigo Duterte's so-called Davao model, wherein police officers can earn money for every kill during the drug war. Grijaldo insisted in the Senate hearing that he has no idea about the alleged reward system.
Kung Dan Fernandez put the paper he was holding on the table and told me, ito ang sasabihin mong statement na ito, while pointing on the paragraph on the paper, ito ang supplemental affidavit ni Colonel Garma. Sabihin mo, alam mo ang reward system. I-confirm mo lang.
Now let's get the other side of this story.
Joining us today is Manila Representative and House Quadcom Co-Chair Benny Abante. Good morning, Kong.
Good morning po. Good morning sa inyong dalawa. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for joining us today, Kong. Ito na, unahin ko na po. What's your reaction dito po sa claim ni Grijaldo dito sa Senate hearing yesterday?
Akala ko po, narinig ko, akala ko po yung nagsasalita yung dating Pangulo. Pareho po yung boses eh. Pareho po yung boses. Anyway, ina-expect na po namin yung ganyang mga salita no, sa Quadcom hearing. Sinasabi lang na yung they're trying to destroy the credibility of the Quadcom hearing. Hindi naman pwede lang i-destroy yan eh. Sapagkat, look puro kasi nangalingan na ang binabagit ng mga taong yan, no? Anyway, pag siya naman na-imbitahan, tingnan natin kung ano mangyayari sa kanya. The thing is, sa amin po, sa Quadcom hearing naman, we just want to really find out the truth about the EJK para magkaroon po kami, makapag-craft kami ng mga batas na mga hindi na mangyayari itong mga bagay na ito.
Opo. Iimbitahan niyo po si Grijaldo.
Nobody can actually take the credibility out of the Quadcom hearing.
Yes.
So you're going to invite Grijaldo po?
We might. Ako, gusto ko. I will be asking the other Quadcom members kung gusto nila.
Yes, Kong, I'd like to ask, no, ano kaya yung reason kung bakit biglang sinalaysay ni Colonel Grijaldo yung testimony na yan kahapon? Ba't biglang parang nag-iba ang kanyang stance?
You must remember that he is in front of the former president. He is in front of his own president that is supported in the EJK. Pangalawa, wala po siyang ginawa when he was the Mandaluyong Chief of Police nung napatay si Barayuga. Wala naman siyang binigay na report din.
Yes.
Yun ang kine-question namin sa kanya. Bakit ganon? Bakit walang report man lang sa Chief of Police sa Mandaluyong nung pinatay si General Barayuga?
Yes.
Anong ibig sabihin nito? Oo. So, I mean, sa amin, palusutan na po ito eh.
Kong, gusto ko makuha po yung reaction nyo. No? Kasi there was a part po sa hearing na to na si former President Rodrigo Duterte pointed even at Senator Bato and other generals as part daw ng Davao Death Squad. Tapos maya-maya sinabi niya, walang Davao Death Squad pero gawa daw ito ng mga kriminal. Mamaya-maya po, iniba niya, sabi niya yung mga mayayaman daw ang nagpatakbo ng Death Squad. So ano po ang take nyo dito sa mga soundbite na ito? Can this be used po in any court of law or sa next possible hearings nyo?
Palagay ko po, magagamit po yan. The thing is, kung nagbabago po siya ng mga salita, magagamit po yan. No? He took full responsibility on the war on drugs. He took full responsibility on the EJK. Meron pong meron pong ibig sabihin ebidensya na yan laban sa kanya. Kung halimbawa, meron magpapail ng idebanda sa laban sa kanya.
Pero Kong, matanong ko rin kasi although he did take full responsibility po for the EJK, mayroon din siyang soundbite na sinabi niya hindi naman daw natatransfer ang criminal culpability sa kanya dahil kung may guilty na iba, hindi daw pwede ipasa sa kanya.
Maaaring hindi, pero meron tayong tinatawag ng command responsibility. Siguro, babagitin po niya ng culpability, no? Pero command responsibility sapagkat alam naman ng taong bayan na nagsalita siya, siyang nag-utos mismo na patayin niyo yan. Siya nang utos mismo, shoot them dead. Yung sinabi po niya.
Yes.
Therefore, yung mga nasa baba, na-embolden po sila. Yan pala sabi ng Pangulo eh. Itirahin na natin ito. Sinasabi po binibigyan ng ibig sabihin ng neutralize. Sinabi po ni Del Jokno, ang ibig sabihin ng neutralize is to kill. Sinabi po naman ni Bato na neutralize to us is to arrest, is to stop. Ba't hindi to arrest? Bakit neutralize? Kung talagang to arrest lang gamitin nila para may due process. Bakit neutralize ang ginamit?
But speaking of former President Rodrigo Duterte, any plans po of inviting him again sa upcoming Quadcom hearing po ninyo?
We would like to invite him because unang-una, ako na nag-imbita sa kanya nung una nung Committee on Human Rights. And he said to attend. Ayun, sinabi naman niya sa media that he is willing to attend if he is invited. So we did. Imbitahan namin siya. Kahit yung abogado niya, sumulat sa amin, he's not feeling well. We understand that sapagkat di naman siya bata na eh. We understand that na meron siyang sakit. So, kahit nasa rules namin, kinakailangan yung sumunod na yan, merong medical certificate attachment yan. We waive it sapagkat naunawaan namin ng ating Pangulo. Pero ito, sabi ko nga, if he is healthy enough to attend the Senate hearing, maybe he would be healthy enough to attend our Quadcom hearing, di ba?
Why do you think po inuna niya itong Senate hearing, Kong?
Ano po yun?
Why do you think inuna niya pong atenan itong Senate hearing?
Eh, siguro, I understand na ando naman yung kanyang mga lawyer sa kanya na poprotektahan siya. Nakita po naman natin, si Senator Bato, hindi naman siya nag-interpolate, nag-defend lang siya ang lahat ng sinasabi.
Yan. Kung I'd like to ask, no, kung na-pick up nyo rin isang sinabi ni FPRRD, na pag yung pulis daw niya mismo ang gumagawa ng kalokohan, talagang pinapatay daw talaga. Hindi papapatay niya. Ang sinabi niya, may mga pinapatay daw siya. Yun ang statement niya. Pero nung tinanong po yung mga general, pati si Senator Bato, nagjo-joke lang daw ang Pangulo. Ano po ang take niyo dito?
Sabi ko nga, alam mo, a leader should not make a statement like that and later on sabihin joke lang yan.
Yes.
I mean, the president's statements are always recorded and that becomes part of the archive of Malacanang. You see, whether it is a joke or not, ba yun na sasabihin mong patayin mo ito at shoot them, is that a joke? Kung yung mga Director General, Senator Bato, sinasabi nilang joke lang yan, delikado parang mag-joke ang Pangulo natin.
Yes. Kung I'd like to ask also, dahil sinabi rin nila, hindi daw inutos ni former President Duterte na pumatay ang mga pulis, pero ininganyo daw nila na sabi niya sa pulis, inganyohin niyo yung mga kriminal na manlaban para matapos na ang issue na ito. Ano po magiging liability nito if proven kay former President Duterte?
Number one, mukhang mali yun eh. Ako hindi ako abogado pero ayon sa batas, mukhang mali yun eh. Ininganyo mo na lumaban yung tao ng laban. More than 7,000 ang pinatay at most of them nanlaban. Ang tanong ito, ganito, nasaan yung mga weapons nila?
Yes, that's right
Meron
po.
po ba ang arsenal ng PNP na itinago po nila yung mga weapons na ginamit po ng mga nanlaban? Nasaan po? Yun ang tanong namin. Dapat kung 6,000 po nanlaban, dapat meron silang weapons na 6,000 din tinatago.
Kung tanong ko lang po kung meron po kayong information, kung alam na po ni Roima Garma itong retraction na sinabi na statement ni Grijaldo yesterday, and would you know po yung kanyang reaction to this?
Hindi ko po alam eh. Hindi ko alam kung nanonood siya, kung alam po niya. I will find out kung alam na po niya.
Pero are you confident po, Kong, na yung iba pong inyong mga resource persons, mga witness sa inyong Quad Committee ay hindi naman po magre-retract ng kanilang mga statements?
Well, I'm confident they cannot. Kung sila mag-retract ng kanilang statement, it's up to them. That is his word against us. That is now before the people. Kung ano magiging tono ng taong bayan dyan. The fact is this, si Colonel Garma, nagbigay po siya ng unang statement niya. Later on, sinabi niya, tinanong ko siya o bakit nag-iba ka na naman ng statement ngayon? Sapagkat nagkaroon siya ng reflection, nagkaroon siya ng change of heart. Now, she wants to tell the truth because the truth shall set her free. Kaya nagkaroon siya ng pangalawang statement, nagkaroon pa siya ng supplemental affidavit. Nasa kanya na po yan, kung i-retract po niya.
Alright, sige, marami pa po kami gustong itanong sa inyo, but unfortunately, wala na po tayong oras, pero sana po maimbitahan pa po namin kayo ulit dito. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyo, Manila Representative and House Quadcom Co-Chair, Benny Abante.
Opo, salamat po ng marami sa inyo.
I wanted to ask din sana, nakalimutan ko lang kung ano yung magiging next final step ng Congress after seeing the Senate hearing and now they're gonna wrap up the...
Yes.
Ano yung
in aid of legislation
and
nila
ano yung
dyan?
recommendation nila sa judicial? Usually may ganyan may recommendation sa DOJ.
Pa-invite natin siya ulit. Para
alright, madaming exciting but don't go away, we're not done yet. May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Bago tayo dumiretso, may mga comments sa Facebook.
haba.
Kalmado lang kayo dahil si Kong Abante, ginagawa lang niya trabaho niya. Kami, ginagawa rin namin ang trabaho namin. So, no name calling, no negative comments,
Yeah.
please. Masaya lang tayo dito and we're just all trying to deliver you the news as best as we can.
All right, let's continue with our countdown. Here's a thrilling topic in our third spot, Duterte and De Lima. Former Senator Laila De Lima came face-to-face with her nemesis, former President Rodrigo Duterte, in the Senate hearing yesterday. This is the first time that De Lima and Duterte were physically together since the former senator's arrest in 2017. They were just one seat apart during the hearing, with former Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA Chief Aaron Aquino sitting between them. The two did not confront each other, but De Lima called out Duterte in her opening statement. She said the former president had long evaded justice and accountability in the drug war.
And these killings had started nung time pa niya as mayor, yung phenomenon ng Davao Death Squad. Pinatuloy niya at nagiging klarado dun sa mga naririnig natin sa House of Representatives Quadcom hearings that yun din ang ginawang modelo ng war on drugs starting 2016. Nanlaban man o hindi, ang problema sa nanlaban, hindi ho kapanipaniwala. Siguro may ilan-ilan na may mga nanlaban talaga. Pero sa karamihan sa mga lumabas na mga kwento ng mga kaanak ng mga biktima ay karamihan sa kanila ay hindi nanlaban.
Yan talaga yung inabangan actually ng mga tao eh. Even before, 'di ba, sa Senate, sa Congress, 'di ba, she was invited and they were waiting for former President Rodrigo Duterte to attend, pero hindi. Sabi nila kasi sayang yun daw yung time sana na first time sila magkakaharap ulit. Pero ito nga, nangyari naman. The inevitable, sabi nga nila, ang paghaharap ng dalawa.
Yung po-point out ko again, which is really ironic, no? Yung nagagalit nga si PRRD sa mga nagsisinungaling daw na nagpa-fabricate ng mga statement, pinipilit papirmahin ng mga affidavit na hindi totoo at peking salaysay. Siya daw mismo magdedemanda, hindi daw niya kailangan humingi ng salaysay. He will grab daw the statement and then binolunteer pa ni Senator Coco Pimentel, it's already ready here. Diba? And tapos on the record, sabi ni Senator Laila De Lima, former Senator Laila De Lima, on the record po ginawa sa akin yan.
Yes.
And hindi po hearsay ang sinabi ni Senator Laila De Lima because the courts will prove na accepted nila yung recantation ng mga testimonies na under duress daw yung mga
Wala na siyang kasong
tinanggap ng korte. Oo, so wala na po siyang kaso ngayon. Number two, ang dami po nagpo-point out na this hearing, although we are all calling for respect the way they should treat the witnesses, pero parang the respect yesterday was not reciprocated back to the Senate.
Mamaya pag-usapan natin yan.
I know, dami pang pag-uusapan about this, but siguro for now, let's move on. The Marcos administration refutes former President Duterte's claim that crimes remain rampant in the country. Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin says there is no truth to this as crimes have declined. He also notes that they have achieved peace and order without setting aside basic human rights. The Justice Department backs Bersamin's statement, citing a report. It says recorded crimes from 2022 to 2024 was at around 300,000, over 10% lower than those from 2020 to 2022.
Let's talk more about the Senate hearing and drug war.
Human Rights Watch senior researcher Carlos Conde joins us live via Zoom. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hey.
Hey, thank you for having me, Angelo and Angela.
Yes, of course. Siyempre, ito na po yung
Did I get that right?
Yes po.
Yes, that's
Tama
right.
naman po. Different po yung claims on crime rate. Pagdating po sa issue ng crime rate, ano po yung masasabi niyo po dito?
Well, it's something, yung crime rate, that's very, very debatable. No? Sometimes kasi they trot out statistics depende kung support ng kanilang mga contentions. So, and of course, meron tayong mga agam-agam minsan sa mga figures na nanggagaling sa police because we know that the police sometimes have this tendency to massage the statistics. So we don't really know. And this is something that has been going on for a long, long time, even before Duterte. So, at the end of the day, siguro, the communities would feel it. But gusto ko lang i-point out na yung sinasabi nga nila, for instance, Davao City was the safest country in the world, in the Philippines. I lived there for more than a decade, so I know the situation there. And you can say it was, except that there's always a climate of fear and people are also dying. So, it's all relative to some degree.
You mentioned about yung Davao being the safest place. No? There have been claims about that, but there was also statistics citing madaming murders na nangyari na unsolved. No? No less than the President Duterte, inamin naman niya to dahil sinasabi niya, mga napatay naman kriminal. So parang ang messaging nito is, it is safe kasi yung mga murders na sinasabi, sinasite daw sa statistics, ay deaths of criminals. So ano yung take mo dito?
Well, that's the thing here. That's actually at the heart of all of this, because what Mr. Duterte is saying is that these suspected criminals should not be afforded due process. At yun ang nakababahala. And in fact, our criticism of the drug war, of how the government is waging its anti-illegal drugs campaign, rests on this really, if I would say so, egregious mentality that people who commit crime or who look like they would commit crime don't deserve due process. In fact, sa Senate kahapon, lumabas ito nung nag-testify yung si Randy Del Santos and Mr. De La Rosa, interpolated him at sinabi yung kapatid pala niya wala nang ngipin kasi daw sunog-sunog na yung panga niya dahil sa kagagamit allegedly ng droga. Ang sinasabi niya, okay lang natirahin yung mga yan. Wala nang due process. And that's really the scary part of all of this. And it was normalized during Duterte's time and then reinforced yesterday during the Senate hearing.
All right, I'm assuming you watched the hearing yesterday, so any substantial takeaways from that hearing?
Well, one, this is something that did not surprise me. Duterte's conduct there, the way he took control of the Senate floor and just ran away with it. He dominated totally. He hijacked the whole proceedings. And that's not surprising. We expected him to do that. What we did not expect, though, is for the senators like the chairman, Coco Pimentel, to be so, so, I would say, mabait sa kanya. I mean, except for Senator Risa Ontiveros, nobody was questioning him in any significant way. And that is just a really, really sad spectacle to see yesterday. Na these are senators who are supposed to to hold officials like Mr. Duterte to account, and yet halos they give him so much leeway and they were so differential to him that it was frankly very sickening to me.
Yeah. Now this whole hearing yesterday, it's all over national television. May mga archives on that on social media. I'd like to ask, you mentioned a while ago the word due process, and then it was talked about extensively yesterday. Sabi ni Pangulong Duterte, he did not order the killing directly, but he did stimulate the policemen. He told them to stimulate the criminals to fight back para mapatay na sila, para hindi na magkaroon ng congestion sa pulungan, hindi na mag-logjam sa korte. What is the liability of President Duterte with what he said yesterday?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't. I can't say the legal perspectives or the legal principles behind that. But clearly, he is a very astute individual. I mean, he's a lawyer too. So he's a very astute individual, and he knows kung ano yung what will put him in trouble. So he will say things in the Senate that would resonate to a lot of people, to ordinary folks, and that will make him look like he's really tough on crime. But at the same time, he stopped short of really incriminating himself. Na even when he said si Bato or sa other generals are death squads, meron siyang may qualification ng konti yun. The way he said it, the way he used the phrase death squad, and even yung mga pag-amin niya, for instance, it was off the cuff actually. Sinabi niya meron siyang sariling death squad na privado ng mga gangster. I mean, later on he prevaricated. He sort of walk back on that one, but by and large, he was really very careful not to implicate himself on the others. So this is something that lawyers would really need to parse very, very carefully to determine kung alin dito yung culpability.
At some point, Mr. Conde, no, dumating po dun sa point na si Senator Bato de la Rosa, minsan siya na po yung sumasagot. At ang
Yes.
nagtatanong na po mismo ay si Pangulong former President Rodrigo Duterte. What do you think of that?
Well, we have to keep in mind that the Senate hearing was the initiative of Senator Bato de la Rosa and Senator Bongo. And they did it for a reason. Alam nilang baon na sila sa allegations sa Quadcom sa lower house, right? And they needed to counter all of that, and they see that the Senate will be the perfect platform to do that. They're there, meron pa silang mga allies dyan, and you know, if there's one thing that you can say about Duterte is that he only goes into a situation where he can control it, where he can control the environment. And he felt, obviously, clearly he felt that he can control the Senate because of Bato, because of Robin Padilla, because of Bongo. And that's exactly what happened. And then, syempre, andun yung mga populist rhetoric niya, the same old populist rhetoric about, going hard against crime. And ito yung bleeding heart moment niya when he was telling us about that story of a mother who was pagulong-gulong sa harap niya sa Davao. That's also why he was really sad about the drugs. I mean, all of that, hindi mo kasi pwedeng yun isang tabi because those things happen.
Yeah.
The problem is that this president is exploiting it for political, to boost his political stock, and that's the problem.
Anyway, so much.
That's good
So
point.
yeah, that's good. But so much to talk about. But we hope we can have you again to pick your thoughts about this. But for the meantime, thank you very much, Human Rights Watch senior researcher Carlos Conde, for joining us on Brunch.
Thank you.
Alright, diretso na tayo sa ating top 1. Our top story is no other than former President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte was unapologetic when he revealed that he formed a death squad in Davao City to fight criminals. He also clashed with Senator Risa Ontiveros after she demanded accountability from the president for the victims of the drug war. Here's a report.
Aside from his usual rhetoric like curses and hating drugs, Duterte dropped a bombshell. He admitted having a death squad when he was the mayor of Davao City.
Meron akong death squad, pero hindi yung mga pulis. Sila rin yung mga gangster. Yung isang
Mr. Chair.
gangster, utusan ko. Patayin mo yan, kaya kung hindi mo patayin yan, patayin kita ngayon.
Despite saying no police was involved in his death squad, he pointed at Senator Bato de la Rosa as the leader of the group.
Yan ang nakaupo niyan, si Senator De La Rosa. Death squad rin yan. Because they were police directors handling the controlling crimes in the city.
Duterte later downplayed his claims about having a death squad.
May sarili kayo ngayong tinayo na hit squad. Is that what you're trying to tell us? Para hindi po kami nalilito po. I mean, can we be very clear?
Hindi naman death squad. Basta alam ng tao sa Davao na nandyan ako.
De La Rosa was quick to clarify that once again, Duterte was supposedly joking in his claims.
Very clear yung sinabi kay ni General Danao na yung sinabi ni President Duterte ay he take it as a joke. We know how President Duterte tells stories. Kapag yung sinabi niya na yan, si Bato de la Rosa is a death squad yan. Ako, 100% joke talaga yung sinabi niya. And in fact, binawi naman niya afterwards. Sinabi niya na hindi kasama ang pulis sa death squad.
But Senator Risa Ontiveros has no time for jokes. The opposition senator confronted Duterte about the brutal killings under the drug war.
Yan ba ang trabaho ng pulis? Na pumatay ng mga suspected criminals?
Pag dumaban.
Para mapatay, para masabing nanlaban.
Correct.
Correct.
Para
Ito sa very
ma-minimize.
incorrect.
Correct, yes.
Very incorrect po, if I may
Yes.
say as a
It's not
civilian,
a-
sa professional police.
That's your view, that. Right.
It's not my
Hindi
view
ka
only, Mr. Chair.
dumaan
Thank you for
hindi ka
putting it on
dumaan
record.
Pagka mayor, pagka prosecutor. Ako, alam ko, duman ako, prosecutor, mayor, presidente, alam ko ang trabaho ko.
The two further butted heads during the hearing.
Mr. Chair, and if the resource person could keep his volume and pitch to a normal
trying
level.
to pin me down on
Mr. Chair, you are pinned down by your own statements
you
of
cannot.
October.
You have to pin me
Mr.
down
Chair.
low.
I'm not trying to pin you
lawfully.
down.
Duterte later apologized to Ontiveros, but the lady senator was stern in discussing the drug war.
Apologies, especially to Senator Ontiveros kasi sensitive sa mga ganitong yung karakter ko ho, gano'n talaga. Bastos ako. Walang hiya ako.
Hindi ako sensitive. Ayaw ko lang talaga ng bastos. Ayaw ko ng walang hiya. Lalo na pag pinag-uusapan natin
Kaya
ng seryosong bagay ng war on drugs saka
Kaya
extrajudicial killings.
After the Senate hearing, Duterte held a press briefing. He said the narco politicians are even back in Davao City. Duterte, however, said he cannot do anything about it now since he has no government power. The former president promised Davaoenos that he will restore peace and order if he wins the mayoral elections next year.
The only way that you can deal with the problem is to have the government power. Hawak mo ang pulis at anong gusto mong mangyari dyan sa syudad mo, nasusunod. Kung hindi mo na kayang wala ka na yan, tahimik ka na lang. Pero bumabalik sila. Pati sa syudad nyo.
Well, actually, we don't even need to analyze anything anymore kasi may mga nagagalit na viewers na anti daw tayo. Actually, hindi po kami anti. We're just merely annotate. No, I'm just it's my point of view. We're just merely annotating what the former president said. Very clear ang sinabi niya. So we're merely highlighting all the highlights of the colorful. It's been a while
Hearing
since
yesterday.
It's been a while
Lahat
since
sinabi natin, sinabi nila yun eh.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had something exciting.
Kaya nga diba sabi ko, it's 2016 all over again. Yan yung mga tipong pagka meron siyang talk to the nation, talk to the people, na especially during the pandemic, di ba? Mga oras ng gabi, nagsasalita siya. Ganyan na ganyan siya noon, di ba? So, anyway, so actually, yesterday, ayaw pa nga niyang umuwi. Sana, di ba? Kasi mula alas 10, alas 9, nandoon na siya. And alam naman natin yung health ni former President Rodrigo Duterte.
73 years old.
Oo, pero sabi naman niya, I'm at your disposal. So, yun nga lang, during that hearing, syempre, napansin din nga natin, ang pinakaseryoso lang dyan talaga ay si Risa Ontiveros. That's my view. No? Dahil iba, may pabiro-biro, papalak-palak.
Well, if you compare it naman sa other hearings and the way they treat other resource persons, obviously naman, they were lighter on former President Rodrigo Duterte and accommodating
even
also.
Before nag-start yung hearing, di ba yung mga privilege speech pa, di ba si Senator Tolentino, he kept on reminding everyone to conduct, give respect, di ba, proper courtesy dun sa ating former president, which is, they did, di ba? It's just that hindi lang talaga...
Hindi siya nag-reciprocate.
Hindi. Tsaka yung, daming mga bad words dun eh. At tsaka hindi lang natin parang hindi masyado nag-grill.
Sige nga, ang regular resource person, parang yung mga kibuloy type, di ba? Mag-bad word kaya doon. Di ba? Hindi ba cite in contempt?
Cite in contempt. You're lying, mga gano'n.
Dito, tatawa-tawa pa sila, di ba? So, double standards.
Alright,
anyway,
sige.
very colorful day we've had so far. But tomorrow, madami pa tayong pag-uusapan. And that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. He is Angelo Castro III. We are One News, all sides, all the time.